So basically,
Oh, it should be noted. I don't think anyone died.
right? No.
So I was wrong.
Right. So going from basically car accidents, I started watching people doing drugs, and there is some pretty funny ones. I think it was they had like it's like a meme type thing where it's like Oblivion NPCs, and if you don't know, Oblivion's a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of shows like people doing odd things while doing just regular jobs, or for example, like somebody pumping gas and can't stand upright, and like doing a whole lean over and smacking their face on the car and trying to do a dance, trying to stand up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Baltimore nod.
Yeah. I wonder if every city has a nod. If they have their own nod, you think?
I don't know.
No, probably not.
Let's know down in the comments below if that's a thing. I have seen some of these videos, not necessarily on that front, but there's like a couple channels out there that they record themselves tripping on like acid and mushrooms.
Right.
And
yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did you get there? How did you get there from?
It was one of those things that just randomly popped up on my feed. I was like,
so there's
I forget what the title was, but it was blatantly obvious that they were recording themselves, or recording
right.
an LSD trip.
What kind of video were you watching for that to pop up on the feed?
Honestly, I don't remember. It just popped up.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, it was.
You were watching a video on like mushrooms, or
yeah, no.
Okay.
No, like I said, that's why I can't really call that down a rabbit hole. But I mean, I did have to like just click on it and just be like, and they're like showing you the acid and record themselves.
You would think that would definitely be illegal, or on YouTube, or at least be removed, because I'm pretty sure you can't just drink. I mean, maybe you can. Maybe you can just drink or do drugs. I don't know.
Well, I think it's under the guise of educational content.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Don't know how that works out.
I guess you can do whatever you want on educational content.
Either way, I was like, is this really a thing?
Right.
And then I saw how many subscribers they had, and I was just really depressed.
Well, I mean, how long have they been doing it? So sometimes it takes years and years to actually build up an audience.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just like, man, they're making money doing this. Yeah. It's the world we live in.
So basically, I went from people on drugs to watching cringe TikTok videos. Basically, video compilations of people on TikTok doing cringe things. And you know what I mean by cringe? By doing like...
go elaborate a little bit.
Just cringe is like somebody does something and it just makes you go like that. Like,
why would you do that?
Yeah.
Kind of thing?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Okay. Can you come up with like an example or off the top of your head?
Well, I'll give you an example of something that was cringe. I can't use that one because let me think. Well, there was this guy who with like long nails. He was very metrosexual, and he was at the White House trying to push certain agendas for the White House. And he was like,
like what? Mandatory length for fingernails?
It's so cringe that, I mean, I can't explain it. I really can't. Basically, if you just want to watch these things, just watch memes of libs of TikTok. Basically, that whole famous thing, and so that's how I kind of started finding that too. Did you do one of yours yet, or?
I mean, before we even move on to anything else, I did want to ask you: have you ever seen a picture of that person that has I don't know if they still do the Guinness World Record for the longest fingernails?
I did not look. I have not seen that.
It's crazy. It looks like a what's a good way to describe
I would
it?
imagine that you can't do very much with.
Well,
like,
yeah. I mean, they got all these like big curlies coming off their hands. I mean, it's like a deformed Wolverine kind of looking thing.
Yeah, that's if your claim to fame is the longest fingernails in the world, where it makes you basically a potato.
Yeah, I mean they got strange world records.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a world record for everything nowadays. Get your act together, people.
Stop encouraging people to be useless.
That's a good point. All right, so like I said, the one and only one that I can think of is obviously I've been off work here for seems like 6 months now.
Right.
Luckily, I'm going back here tomorrow, actually. But so in my time after I started getting used to the hand and everything back, I'm like, oh, man, what am I going to do with all this free time? So I'm like, and I enjoy cooking.
Right.
Food is good. So I started watching cooking, recipe kind of shows and everything.
Right.
On the YouTube. So I mean, start out, all pretty good, everything. Then I come across this guy named Uncle Roger. If you don't know the premise of Uncle Roger, go, check him out and then come back. He's basically I think he's Malaysian. I could be wrong, but he's of Pacific descent.
Right.
We'll say, and he's actually a comedian, the actual guy, and
Okay.
the whole Uncle Roger thing. It's a total act. But,
Okay.
I mean, it's he nailed it. He nailed it. It started off with I watched him review famous chefs making egg fried rice. That's is basically claim to fame.
Right.
So okay, so I watched a bunch of them videos because I mean he's really funny. Go check him out. I thought it was funny anyway.
I don't think
It was.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. If one of us said it, we would be called blatantly, overtly racist. But
But I just have to do the same thing just as a redneck. You know what I mean?
good idea. So, anyway, it moved on from there, and then it got into these smaller food challenge videos. So it's basically have you ever been to if you can a restaurant where they have something where if you can eat this, you get the meal for free.
Right.
Kind of I mean, back in the day, it used to be a 72-ounce steak or something, or
Right.
or whatever it was.
I would believe that they probably had to step that up because nowadays the internet's around and somebody that can eat a lot sees that and be like, I want to go do that. I could do that.
Yeah, well, yeah, apparently that's a whole thing. Actually, a decent amount of different channels are doing that.
Right.
So it was a lot more than I was expecting. It's not like you're watching the same 2 or 3 people
Right.
doing it. So anyway, then that morphs into these competitive eaters.
Right.
The one that particularly sticks in my mind is this Matt Stoney guy, which I mean, he used to be I guess a professional competitive eater,
Right.
and I mean, there's obviously a couple other ones, but they're just sitting down and eating 15 pounds of food at one time.
Right.
And for
Yeah.
for the first couple of times I was watching, I'm like, there's no way you can eat that much food. It's impossible. I'm like, it's impossible. I'm just sitting there, I'm waiting for them to fail and everything. So, yeah, that... Actually, you know what? Come to think of it, this all started with me finding hot wings on the internet.
Okay, so it's the guy.
It started with
Right.
Hot Wings, that like interview show where they eat the hot spicy wings,
Right.
and then it turned into like cooking shows, and then it turned into like eating challenges, and then it turned into these guys just eating like 15 pounds of food.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of the Hot Wings interviews.
I think those guys. I mean, whoever came up with that is a genius.
Shaq's the best one.
If you really want to get truth out of people, throw something spicy in their mouth.
That and he actually does, like, most interviewers don't actually do any kind of research, so he
Oh,
asks
yeah.
decent questions.
Yeah. In fact, he gets told that all the time on the
Right.
show. He's like, man, how do you do that?
Because you would think that most famous people are famous for specific things, and they keep getting asked the same exact questions over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And they're basically just tired of it. You know what I mean? So they get a different question. They probably kind of shocks them out of their
Right.
comfort
Well, on
spot.
top of that, a lot of them are about like personal things in their life
Right.
that they think that other people don't know. That
Right.
This guy, somehow figured out, or I guess by talking to somebody,
Yeah.
somebody involved in the story, probably.
Okay.
I would assume.
Yeah.
But either way, it's good. Shout out Hot Wings. So I mean that's basically the one that I can think of. Like I said, I don't search. My YouTube, or video is I'm looking for one particular thing. As soon as I find the answer to that thing, I may watch 2 videos on it, but then anything else related to that, I'm done with.
Right.